Hi, BookTube. It's Gina. Happy Friday. We made it through the week. Yay! I hope you have some fun plans for the weekend. I'm probably just going to be taking it easy. I think I don't really have any plans for the weekend, which is okay with me. It's been a little bit of a stressful week this week. We had to take one of our new kittens in for eye surgery. Um, and so especially in the days of COVID, it's so much harder. They won't let you in the office, so we had to kind of drop her off and then wait for them to call you. And it was like 7 hours of waiting and wondering and worrying. And then, of course, now she's on meds, and it's just, oh, it's so stressful. And I don't know about you, but I thought I'd talk just for a second about a couple of the things that I do to help de-stress me when I'm feeling anxiety. And I figured out yesterday while I was kind of just feeling nervous about her that I also was starting to feel like anxiety about some book piles that were stacking up. So, a couple of the things that I do when I'm feeling anxious is to try to notice my surroundings and notice if anything around me is also increasing my anxiety, because I can't not feel anxiety about the kitten. That's going to be there until her eye heals up, but I can calm my surroundings down a little bit. And one of the ways I did that is by decluttering some books. I did a unhaul last week and shared a few of those books that I had unhauled just because they no longer fit the person that I am. I knew I wouldn't read them again. And I just did the same thing. I kind of went through my shelves pretty quickly, and I just pulled off a stack of books. I will pop it in a picture of the books I'm decluttering. And I also scheduled an appointment to sell them to our local used bookstore. And I feel a nice sort of weight lifted off of me by just clearing a little bit of space on my bookshelves and making some room for the things that I plan to buy, of which I have a couple of things to share with you today. So, the book that I finished this week is called Near Neighbors by Molly Clavering. And this is a Dean Street Press furrowed middlebrow reissue. Dean Street Press is reissuing some of the lesser known women writers from the early mid 20th century. And as you know, I love that genre. That's one of my favorite things to read. And I'm always looking for fun new books. And this one did not disappoint. It was the perfect cozy read. It is about an old upper 60-year-old lady. She considers herself elderly. I don't consider upper 60s elderly, but that's because I'm precariously close to being in that age range. But she is an elderly spinster who has lived under the thumb of her father and then lived under the thumb of her domineering older sister. And the sister has died. This is the opening page, so it's not a spoiler. And it's just a wonderful story of Dorothea, Miss Dorothea, figuring out her place, realizing that she is free, meeting the neighbors, the near neighbors to whom the title refers. And it's just a delightful, cozy, wonderful read. Molly Clavering, I feel like, is going to be one of my new favorite authors. I also read her Mrs. Lorimer's Quiet Summer a few months ago last year and really liked that one. But Near Neighbors is wonderful. It's cozy. There's no angst in it. There's a little bit of romance, but nothing anxiety provoking whatsoever. So it's a perfect sort of calming book. And I read that one on my Kindle. And when I read on my Kindle, I like to read in bed at night. It was a perfect evening in the dark, under the covers, cozied up with a book. So highly recommend Near Neighbors by Molly Clavering. I also am working on reading Black Prince by Iris Murdoch. This is the paper book I have going, in addition to The Odyssey by Homer, which I think is going to take me a little while to read. But I'm trying to read some of my Iris Murdoch collection up here. And I think I talked about this one last time too. I'm only up to page 115 because I don't do much reading on paper books during the week. Um, just because I work during the day. When I get off work, I'm generally preparing dinner and relaxing, and Greg and I will watch a TV show together, and then I start reading on my Kindle usually. So this I'll probably finish up this weekend. But this I found as I was reading through this is old receipt. I don't think this was from when I bought it because this was in 1989, and I was not in Seattle yet in 1989. But I love it when I find old fun things in books. I'm on page 115 of this. It is the story of a man, a writer, a rather pretentious writer who thinks he's unsuccessful because he's better than his author friend who writes popular fiction, because he only writes things that are very deep and intellectual, and therefore, of course, he can't be expected to actually produce any literature. And the story opens with him planning to leave town, but his friend calls him and says, "I think I've killed my wife." His ex-wife shows up on his doorstep, and you can tell chaos is just going to ensue. And Iris Murdoch never disappoints. It's like an intellectual soap opera. It's very, very off the rails. Not so much yet, but I'm imagine this is going to go in a really fun direction. So I'm really enjoying that. I bought 2 books this week. So, I'm trying to track my book purchases. And the first one that I bought on paper, I bought this from Abe Books, used. And this is called The Family from One End Street. And this is a really fun, one of these Puffin Modern Classics editions. This is by Eve Garnett, and I heard about this in Bookworm that I just finished. And I thought it sounded like a really fun read for middle grade March. So I went ahead and bought this. You guys are getting a glimpse into my plans for my middle grade March reading. I'm sorry, I got distracted even looking at the initial page. But look at that cute cover. So this is a middle grade March, I believe, will be added to my TBR for that month. And then I also bought on my Kindle, I bought Mrs. Palfrey at the Claremont, which is by Elizabeth Taylor. And I saw this book on Miranda Mills' channel, and I realized when I heard her talking about it that I had actually seen this movie. They made it into a movie with Joan Plowright, which I really loved. And so this Mrs. Claremont, Mrs. Palfrey is an older lady who is moving into the Claremont, which is a retirement facility. And it just sounds like a wonderful and introspective and rather interesting story about aging. And so I'm excited to read that. I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to get to it, but it's on my Kindle, so I have that available. And then I think that's it. I do have a notice from the post office that I've got a package. So I may have another book waiting for me at the post office, but unfortunately I don't have time to go to the post office to pick it up, and our local post office will not deliver to our front door. We've got a mailbox on the road, it's a normal size mailbox, and if the package does not fit in the mailbox, the deliverer will not drop it off, which drives me bonkers. I just hate it. So I've got to drive to the post office, which is only a minute away, but it's still just another little bit of a trip that I don't have time to do during the workday. So I will probably have to go later, and I'll show you that when I open it up. I have a feeling I know what it is because I saw an Instagram post by the bookstore, so I think I know what it is, but I will let you know when I open up the package. So that's it for me. I hope you had a wonderful week. I hope you've got something fun or relaxing planned for this weekend, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.